So we're going to talk about the mindset around creating video. Now, video is probably one of the hardest things to do on social media, or I think anyway, because it's really personal. So here we are, and here I am talking to you as if we're kind of sitting in the same room, but it feels a little bit funny because I have my phone, I'm talking into a little hole on the phone, and it just feels very strange. So this is what we're going to think about, is how do we kind of shift our mindset. We're not going to totally feel happy with creating video all the time, and I don't expect that after watching these videos that you will feel happy. Sometimes you might be like, I just hate doing video, but I would try and don't let that put you off. Just try and think of, well, how's it going to benefit people? So we're just going to talk through the mindset. So how are we going to deal with this really situation of finding it difficult to be able to create video? So I've got a few notes in front of me, and I'm just going to talk about how we can we're not going to get over it because it's just always going to be there, but how we're going to tackle it and how we're going to create some really good video. So today we're not going to talk about how to create the video, but we're really going to talk about the mindset behind creating video. Now, video is going to make you stand out on Facebook, it's going to make you stand out on Twitter, you can do video on LinkedIn now, and you can do video on Instagram. So we're really hoping to then build build practitioners' profiles in all of these locations on social media. And using video is going to be the way that we're going to then put everybody's work out there and let people know that are perhaps following you, or people that are following you that know someone who would benefit coming to you for therapy, for counselling, whatever you offer, if you're coaching. We're going to really build the profile of everybody that way. So what are the fears around using video? Well, I'll tell you a little bit about my fears and see if it's something that you can relate to. So first of all, it's really not nice hearing your voice back, because we don't know, or we think we sound different from what people can or what people are hearing. So when we then record ourselves and hear it back, it's like, oh, just don't like to hear it. And I think it's a trait from everybody. So if you feel that way, don't think that, oh, everybody else is fine getting on camera, and just remember that it's a situation that, or it's a feeling that everybody has about their own voice. Because and my niece was teaching me a little bit this, because I was talking to her about how does she feel if she records video for her school, when they're doing presentations and things. And she was telling me a little bit about the science behind it, and I'm not going to go into the science, but it's something to do with how we hear back, and the echoes within, as we're putting sound out, how it comes back to us. It is going to be different because people pick up on the sound different. If you like science, you'll probably understand what that is all about, and you'll probably be able to explain it a little bit better than me. But it's one of the fears. It's like, oh, I don't really like hearing my voice. Well, when we're doing work, so when I work as a coach, I'm not going to just type. That's not the kind of work I do. I'm going to be talking to people. So I can't change my voice. I can whatever people hear when I'm coaching them, that is what they're going to get. So when I'm creating video, it's basically, the video is what people are going to get when they come to you, when they come to your practice. So trying not to think that, oh, well, I don't like my voice. Well, people are going to be hearing you anyway. So if you're creating video to build a little bit of presence online, it's great that people hear your voice, whether you like it or not. That's my opinion, because they're going to hear your voice. They're going to know when they come into the room. You're going to know what you sound like, what you look like. We're going to talk about that in a moment. And so it's really thinking about, well, okay, I don't like the sound of my voice, and probably nobody does. Okay, so it's trying to go over, well, this is how I sound. And when people come and they get therapy from me, or for example, when they come to me for coaching, this is the voice they're going to hear. So we may as well then, try and grapple with that kind of sense of, where, this is our voice, and if we're going to promote ourselves, then this is the voice we're going to use. So without kind of being crass about it, it's trying to then think about, okay, kind of putting that in its place and thinking, well, I'm not really that happy hearing myself back, but I'm going to create the video because of, the benefit it's going to have when it gets out there. Another one we talked about just there and I had written down is how we look. And it's another human thing. Nobody likes well, I've never met anyone who's 100% happy with the way they look. So we're not going to go over that one either. So what I would suggest is trying to think about, again, that, well, when somebody comes to your practice or they come to get coaching from you, this is what they're going to see, you know, and we can't change the way we look. I don't like the colour of my hair, so I can dye that if I want, but, you know, it's not that we can then go and make a drastic change just to get on video. That's not the point, because we want to be as personable as possible, you know, and we want to be ourselves, so that when people look at your video, when they're scrolling through social media, when they see you, that's who they see when they're going to come to get coaching or come to therapy. So it's getting in that mindset as well. Well, this is me. So if I'm going to be out there providing a service, providing therapy, coaching, whatever we're doing, people are going to come and see us, and that's who they're going to see. So it's kind of getting, I'm not going to say it's getting over it, because we don't get over it. I don't think we'll lose those feelings, but it's kind of saying, well, we'll go on video, we're portraying what we are on the video, so then when people come to see us, they're getting who we are, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of like, we might not like how we look, we can do things about it. So I'm not going to dye my hair, but I could if I wanted to. But it's not about that. This is me. So it's like thinking, well, I'm going to go on the camera and I'm just going to be me. Because when people come to either my practice room or they come and do coaching with me, this is what they're going to see anyway. So it's to try and shift that kind of mindset of, well, you know, I'm good at what I do and people are going to benefit from coming to you having therapy. So kind of don't let that get in the way too much about kind of who we are, and think about how we're going to help the other person. The other thing is, I had written down here is, well, what we're going to talk about. So today in this video, I've made the content is going to be all around mindset and creating videos. What do we not like about creating videos, and what do we like about creating videos? And what I've done is I've written a couple of notes on here, because I don't have a good memory and things don't come rushing back to my mind as well as I would like them to. So when you're thinking about creating a little bit of video, you really think about one topic, and then you don't need to worry about what you're going to talk about. In the other videos, we will talk about content itself, but what I'm talking about is the worries and fears. So we won't need to worry about too much about what we're going to talk about, because we'll kind of create a little bit of content around that. But it's really important that you have some notes in front of you, you know, so you don't need to just be face the camera and know exactly what you're going to say. Having some notes definitely helps. And you might also worry about, well, where am I going to be? How am I going to take the video? What equipment am I going to use? All of these worries kind of go through your mind. And then if you're anything like me, it's like, right, that's the reason why I'm not going to do it, because I don't know what I'm going to talk about, or I don't know what location I'm going to use. But again, you know, finding a nice quiet spot, something like what I've done here. I don't have anything particularly behind me, because in the other videos we're going to talk about what could you kind of have in your room. So these are the kind of most common fears that I have and that I've heard other people talking about. We don't like the sound of our voice, we don't like how we look, we're going to be worried about what we're going to talk about, and we don't know what location and how to take our video. So I would suggest at this point is just to take a moment just to think about these things and think about, well, that's how we feel. How is our video that we're going to put out there, how is it going to help someone? And once you kind of think about, well, why am I doing this? It's really like to help someone. So in my coaching, I'm like doing these videos so that anyone who watches this, I hope, will then think, right, okay, I have those fears too, but I'm going to kind of work with it, and, you know, we'll get through it. And it's the same with yourself. In your practice, if somebody's coming to you, then you're thinking about what value that's going to be to them, that to try and more think about that than to worry about what we look like or what we sound like. So it's kind of changing the mindset around how we feel, and then but how it's actually going to value someone else. So those were the things I had put on my notes at the end. Most important, it's about the person who's listening to you. And just a little tip, because recording on the camera and not talking to a person is a little bit strange, let's say. And something that I had picked up from a blogger who is really, really influential in blogging. I'll put her the link to Amy's anywhere that you can contact Amy on social media. And she really said that when you're talking to the camera, is to then don't be constantly thinking it's a camera, it's a camera, it's a camera, but think about the person that you're talking about. So if you're thinking that you're talking to a client, for example, then have in mind that person and talk as if you're talking to that person. So when you're watching this video just now, I'm hoping that it's kind of like me and you sitting in the room and we're like kind of discussing this. Obviously there's no two-way, but I'm kind of imagining, well, what are your reactions when I say I don't like the sound of my own voice, and then maybe you're saying, oh, that's me too, and then so I'm then thinking about how the other person is reacting to what I'm saying. You don't need to be too deep into that, but what I'm saying is that try and look at the camera and record yourself as if you're actually having a conversation with someone, as if you're talking to someone. It's not easy, but then as you're kind of going through it and having some practice, then that's where the kind of mindset shifts. So I hope that helps a little bit. We're all talking about, it's all to do with thinking about the mindset and thinking why we're recording these videos. We're not recording them so that we can get some sort of fashion, be put up on some top social media fashion. We're not there, but it's not about us, basically. It's about how it's going to help the other person. And I'm hoping that you'll take from this video a little bit of, I can kind of give it a try, and I can shine my mind. I can change my mindset a little bit. So you can make mistakes as well, just as I do too. So if this video has helped you, then obviously let me know. We'll be doing a series of videos and thinking around what we're going to post, how we're going to post it, and a little bit of content as well. So I hope you give video a try, and if you have any questions at all, please be in touch. Bye for now.